Hi everybody, and welcome back to Completely Fandom, the channel where we celebrate, discuss and share our thoughts on thousands of fans who are out there. With me today we've got Dan.
Hello.
And we did our predictions on Batman vs Superman, and today I thought we'd do our afterthoughts.
Yeah.
So roll titles. So if you've not seen our predictions videos, go check it out. There'll be a link in the descriptions and there'll probably be something hovering to click on. And we're just going to go through what we said and see how our thoughts have changed on the subjects. Firstly, was it a good film?
Difficult question. I didn't really enjoy it. For me, the film was there was too much in it. It was too crammed in. It didn't feel to me like a coherent story.
No.
Some issues with how it was edited together and a lot of the plot points I think they wanted or tried to hit that they didn't necessarily do so.
They did put a lot in, and let's say they missed some essential storyline parts that would make it a more coherent story.
Yeah, well, I think one of the big things for that is the deleted scene that got released on YouTube about 2 or 3 days after release, with Lex talking to what is supposedly one of Darkseid's lieutenants.
Yeah.
And it actually explains how he knows about Darkseid is coming and the wider universe. But it was cut out, and yet you have a lot of scenes in there that don't really seem to advance the story of the film. The nightmare sequence, I think, is probably one of the big examples of that.
Yeah.
In my opinion, and a lot of the dream sequences you have with Bruce and Batman in there that don't have a major impact on the plot, whereas something like that does. It probably should have been in there instead.
Yeah. It jumped about a lot. Like I said, there were a lot of flashbacks, a lot of dream works. There were a lot of stuff that wasn't explained, and it could easily have been explained with 1 or 2 extra shots. What about the tone of it? Darker?
So we said it was, looking from the trailer, going to be a darker tone, carrying on from Man of Steel and what they set within there. And I think we were putting on the nose. Is that darker theme? Yeah. There's a lot of use of filters.
Just
I know, a quick bear of yours at the moment.
Did we mention last time with the Superman one? Someone took all the filters off and it was fantastic. The costume was blue different. And everything. But that was like, get back onto this one.
Yeah, well, it's the same situation it seems with this film, in that almost everything seems to have some kind of filter on there, changing the colour and the tone of the visuals. But the actual action as well, and the characters within it keep that darker tone to the atmosphere. Batman is incredibly brutal within it, and almost has a bloodlust, and it is very willing to kill within it, which
a lot of people didn't like. A lot of people didn't. I mean, what do you think about that one? Did you?
In the way it's presented, I wasn't keen on it. I mean, you look at some of the comic. I mean, we said in the predictions, you'll go far enough back. There's plenty of times where Batman has killed people in many different ways. In this, it seems very, very too willing to pull the trigger, like literally pull the trigger. Using there's a car chasing it. The Batmobile's chasing down a van with a couple of henchmen in cars. One of them. Back of the car flies off, minigun pops up, the guy's shooting at the Batmobile. He opens up with a machine gun in return and blows the car up. So it's very much he's willing to kill at a drop of a hat rather than it being a last option. And I think I've seen in interviews one of the big inspirations for the Batman is the Dark Knight Returns. Batman comes out of retirement to take on Superman, and he's quite brutal in that comic book and willing to push the line. But they've gone beyond that, it seems. Yeah,
you see, I kind of liked the more brutal Batman. He's jaded. The stuff happens. You see the Robin outfit. You know something bad's happened to his sidekick. So I kind of like the idea that he's just twisted that bit further. And bad guys shouldn't be just arrested. They should be punished in a more very brutal way. And I kind of liked that sense of idea. And again, they were branding. He branded his victims.
Branding guy in as a knuckle duster.
And at the end, he goes in, sees Lex Luthor. He's ready to brand him, but he decides not to. And I'd like to see that storyline of Batman being a more vicious, horrible vigilante, but the storyline over the next few films, whichever films he's in, he gets to be more back to the way he was, more nicer, not nicer, more.
Well, yeah, you can hardly have a soft touch beating up bad guys. I know what I mean. It's a cruel streak within him.
Yeah,
he's not beating them up because he has no other choice of taking them down. He's beating them up in a very violent, very visceral way.
Yeah.
The warehouse fight, especially. That there is that cruel streak to it,
yeah,
rather than a necessity.
That's it. Yeah, and to see him go back to the way he was, whether it's through seeing Superman, Wonder Woman, that type of thing. I'd like to see his storyline evolve that way, going back to the way he was. There was a reason why he was violent, being that much violent, but I wish again they would explain it a lot more.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah,
if that was the case, anyway. You know,
this is true. I think the that goes back to what we said at the start. The kind of core issue is how much they've tried to fit in there.
Yeah,
has meant a lot of explanation is missed out.
God, yeah.
And actually, there's a couple of big plot points in there with Lex, and basically Lex knows who Batman is, knows who Superman is, but there's not a lot of explanation in the film where that comes from.
Yeah,
it's in the film. Batman finds a load of files, and in those files are videos of the JLA members: Flash, Cyborg, Wonder Woman, and Aquaman.
Yeah,
and it's just videos of very short snippets of showing them, but nothing about how Lex knows them. Nothing about how Lex found out Bruce is Batman, figured out Clark is Superman. There's no detail to it.
Going back to the videos, you mentioned before we got on camera, is why not use it like for the internet? Just have click on things to build it up, or use those characters more in the film. Yeah,
definitely. I think the snippet of videos account for maybe 10 minutes of the film, which is it's actually Wonder Woman who watches them. She's been sent them by Bruce in the film, and she watches through and sees the Flash stopping a robbery, Aquaman destroying a couple of research submarines.
Aquaman looked like he was holding his breath. There's got to be special effects, especially when they use it. It's a special effects film. Yeah. There has to be some way of doing it properly.
Yeah, of all the kind of mistakes you might make within.
When his film comes out, oh God, it's got to be on land, surely. Well, they can't do an underwater Aquaman film.
And Cyborg being created, and it's about 10 minutes, but it's dropped in where literally Batman and Superman are about to fight.
Yeah.
It switches to this and then comes back to the fight. Those sort of things as an end credits that you see Marvel do with a lot of their films, or a web exclusive or something on the DVD. Feels like it would fit so much better for it.
Yeah, they kind of just thought, right, these characters need to be in, we're just going to dump it in the most exciting part of the film. So Superman in the film?
Yes.
Has he improved?
He doesn't do much.
No.
A lot of the scenes in the film, there's a lot of trying to make it a comic book panel.
Yeah.
So there's a pan away from Bruce at the start of the film in Metropolis with the attack, and it pans away and you've got the Wayne Corp logo to him, and the way it's shot is very much like you would see this in a comic book during an attack, and a lot of the scenes in there, a lot of the visuals seem to be built around this premise of trying to make it a comic book panel.
Trying too hard.
Yes, definitely.
That was it. They could include comic book images like Superman with the sun behind him.
Yeah.
Fantastic visual, but they could have done a lot less with that and done a proper film. But that's Zack Snyder for you. Yeah.
I think so.
I do love his films. I love a lot of his films. I don't watch them because of the plots. I watch them because of the visuals. But this is a plot-driven story. It has to be. It's supposed to be.
Hope so. I think we certainly hope so.
we hope so.
Yeah.
Now we know it.
There's a lot as well, if you look in the interviews with him afterwards.
Yeah.
That they've really put me off him as a director, to be honest. The attitude he's shown effectively boils down to, I know the real Superman and Batman, and so that's what I did. This is paraphrasing him from interviews, where he talks about he knows the true canon of the comics, so that's why he's done things his way. And I think that is where a lot of those issues come in from the film.
Yeah.
Fanboys of any kind, fanboys and girls of any kind, always have their preferred view of a comic book, a book, a film, a computer game, whatever it is. They have their idealised image. But I think when you're in a position like that, you've got to put that to one side to a degree.
Oh, yeah.
You've got to realise that not necessarily the right view, or it might not be the true view, if you will. But
that's probably with filmmaking at the moment, and even comic books. Fanboys are growing up and they want to make the film they want to make. If you look at some of the reboots like RoboCop, Dredd, these are fanboys that are growing up and thinking, I can do a better job of what the creators did when I was younger. And comic book wise, it's DC mainly again. You've got Jim Lee, Jeff Jones, they've become head of DC, and that's when they made New 52.
Yes.
They thought, I'm not going to swear because I've got some young viewers, but they thought, sod it, I'm going to move this out of the way, and we want it this way. Superman and Wonder Woman gets together, doesn't matter about Lois Lane. And it's very fanboy in how they write, and that's moved on to the film as well, I think.
So, I disagree on Dredd. I enjoyed Dredd. just
to put that on,
you said there. But before we go on too much of a tangent,
we'll reel it back in.
Some of the other stuff we did in the predictions video, we talked about, and we've covered there, the risk of trying to do too much, cramming too much stuff into it. And that very much seems to be the case.
Oh god.
To the point that the whole Batman versus Superman fight is 9 minutes long.
What we call in the YouTube industry clickbait. The whole title was for you to go watch the film, and what was it? 8 minutes?
9 minutes.
Of the fight.
That's it. And then you've got the Doomsday fight. Which again is 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes. But again, with that, you have cutaways within the fight. So the Batman versus Superman, they're fighting, but it cuts away at the start, like we say, to Wonder Woman view of the files. There's bits with Lois is coming to the fight for whatever reason, whatever she thinks she's going to do. So it's still not a continuous segment. You look at Star Wars Episode 3, for me as well, the duel between Anakin and Obi-Wan, that's 12-minute long lightsaber fight. And it worked really well for me. You actually saw the fight progress and the differences as they got injured and moved it on. There didn't seem to be a lot of that within this. I think the timeline, the jumping away is a large part of that.
Again, the directing into it's just kind of, they just broke the fight scene, whether to make it longer, I'm not sure, just to put in this human element, I guess. But we're not there for the human element. If you're going to watch a superhero film, we're watching it because we want glorious battle scenes, which we've missed on previous Superman films, other than obviously Man of Steel. But Superman Returns and the older ones, there weren't that many almighty fight scenes, and that's what people wanted. And to cut away like that, it's just, people don't want that in a Superman film. They want to see things destroyed, and they want to see things beat up.
I think ultimately as well, and many people have talked about it, the resolution to Batman and Superman fighting is incredibly disappointing. And to me, makes no sense in the way it happens. As we said, there are going to be spoilers. If you haven't seen it, Batman has Superman on the floor, poised with a kryptonite spear to kill him. And Superman says, you have to go and save Martha, as in his mum who has been kidnapped. And Batman seems to undergo some kind of mini stroke or fit of reminiscing about his dead mum, who also happened to be called Martha. And that's it, they're best friends because their mums share a name. And that's the resolution to the whole fight between them. There's nothing about the competing ideologies. Which actually I think goes all the way through. There's Clark is very much the Batman is wrong for beating up criminals and the way he does it and branding them. And Batman, as it's in the trailer, is that whole 1% thing. If there's a 1% chance of him going evil, we take it as a certain, we take him down. But that's never really explored to any true degree in the film. And it's not really used as the reason for the fight beyond all of a sudden Lex, because he knows who they are, sets them up.
Well, even with the whole... they've both got different views of the world. Batman's darker, Superman's lighter. But Superman never gave hope to the world in the film. You kind of force upon, this is how people see Superman. But he's broody. He's grumpy. He's,
very much so. And I think you could trace that back to Man of Steel. You don't have the background there of him being raised to be a symbol of hope, to be a good guy, to be going out and saving people. he was raised to hide his powers and not go and save people.
Yeah, yeah.
Quite explicitly within that film.
He had really crap fathers, both of them.
Actually, it's a weird reference that occurs in the film. There's a bit where Superman is being quite broody. He's obsessing over whether he should carry on or not, talking to Lois. And he comes out with that his dad raised him to be heroic and save people.
Which one?
Which one? That doesn't happen in Man of... I might be remembering wrong, but I don't remember any scene of either of the two dads saying you need to go and save people and be the one for them.
Yeah.
If I'm wrong, correct us in the comments,
definitely,
please, and I will review that. At the time, it just stood out as quite a jarring moment. The last point really we did in the predictions was about Robin being in the film, because the trailer showed the Robin suit with the graffiti on it.
It was tricky. It showed Robin and it showed the letter, and you assumed Joker was somehow involved. But the Robin suit was there for a split second.
Yeah, there's a lingering look. That is it,
and that's it. And I hated the trailer for that. The trailer showed that there's going to be more to this. Because it was the same handwriting as the notes. Similar,
if not the same. Yeah, certainly. But the notes seemingly were actually from Lex, and nothing to do with the Joker.
And while we're here, Lex Luthor. To me, he wasn't. It was Lex Jr. Yeah, whatever. But Lex is confident. He's intelligent. He knows how to manipulate people without doing what he did in the film. He seemed so much more like Joker.
Yeah.
His look, his persona. He had that stupid quirk. That every sentence, and it drove me nuts. As a joke, he would have been great.
I think, you put the makeup on and maybe give him the scars, and you'd make a passable, if not a good Joker, certainly.
With his scheme and his pot of liquid, it's a Joker thing.
Oh yeah, the bit, if people haven't seen it, there's a senator, the one in the trailers, the female senator, in a talk with Lex, she mentions. I think the phrase is, you could fill a pot with piss and call it Granny's peach tea and I wouldn't drink it. And there is literally a scene where she's in the hearing and she finds a glass pot with Granny's peach tea wrote on it. From Lex. It's a Joker thing. There's something the Joker would do to get at someone before.
Just to show it's him before, and they realise, we're screwed. And they kill off so many characters, supporting characters, that would have been great. Mercy, the one at the beginning.
Jimmy Olsen.
Jimmy Olsen.
Which isn't even mentioned as being Jimmy Olsen. The only reason I know it was Jimmy Olsen is from seeing an interview with Zack Snyder after seeing the film, where he says that, the guy who died at in the first scene with Lois, Jimmy Olsen. Yeah, we didn't really want him in the film.
Too many characters is a laugh anyway, because but they could have just had a reporter. They didn't need to mention his name or anything, and he didn't need to bring it up later. But Jimmy Olsen is a major part of Superman mythos. He's and why not introduce him in the next Superman film?
Yeah.
If they're going to do a new Superman film, whether it's going to be Justice League all the way through, I assume not.
I think the plans at the moment, nothing's been announced for a new Superman. Recently they announced Affleck will be directing as well as being in the next Batman film.
As well.
And writing it,
I think that covers what we predicted. Any other general thoughts?
I think we've covered a lot of them, to be fair, talking through. As I say, just the film overall, there's some... For me, Affleck as Batman works really well.
Yeah.
I think he did a really good job of portraying Bruce and Batman.
He's one of the saving factors of the film.
Yeah, certainly so. And how they did Batman, there's one main fight scene, which is in the trailer, it's the warehouse fight scene, where he's actually gone to rescue Martha Kent, not Wayne, she's dead.
Yeah.
And it's done in the style of the Arkham games.
Yes.
That they've done, Arkham Origins Night and so on. And it's very, very brutal, very visceral fight scene as well.
Yeah.
And it's all looks like it's actually done rather than relying on CGI fights as well. Whereas you compare it to the Dark Knight trilogy, you actually see what's going on.
Well, yes.
It's not a shaky cam and there's a flash of something happening. You actually see him going through, using gadgets as he does, taking them down, and how the suit works with the armour.
Very practical, and should be that way for Batman.
Yeah, definitely. And so for me, certainly the highlight is Affleck's performance. Overall, not happy with the film, not keen on the film.
I mean, even with Batman's build-up and his final fight with Superman, his fight with Superman, he used the gadgets, he planned. Yes. That's what made
that's it, you actually see the strategist side of Batman for once in the film, rather than just going into a fight using the gadget. You see him preparing, he sets several different traps up, he knows, he's got the gun he has in the trailer. I mean, we spoke, I think, briefly in the prediction about people not being happy he's got a gun. That's for kryptonite gas grenades to depower Superman to be able to fight him. So you actually see the planning side of it, which is really great to see within the film for Batman.
And he had the guns in the dream sequence, and we mentioned this again, he was in a post-apocalyptic world. You would use guns if you're being surrounded by these, what are they called?
The parademons.
To me, in general, it was an okay film. I'd watch it again. A lot of people didn't like the dark side. I'm hoping if it goes this way, they're going to go towards Injustice. There's a video game first, then there's comic books. Pretty much is Lois Lane gets killed off by the Joker. Superman goes and kills the Joker, and from then on he puts a very strict rules on criminals. Batman sees him as this godlike person, saying he's going too far, and that's how Batman forms a team to fight against Superman's team. And it is very dark, very gritty, and to see that happen in the films, if they're going that way, I would be quite happy with that.
That would be quite cool.
It would be a different take on them all. Long time, even casual followers who have seen Superman in the blue and red, and they're not going to like it that much. So I can see why they did it darker if they go that way. But that's something we're going to have to wait for, and something we're going to have to...
I think that's clearly quite a way down. Basically, the film very much sets up Darkseid as being the villain for the Justice League film. Or I suppose you could say the next Justice League film. Basically, that's what this seems to be. And so we'll have to see what kind of details start coming out about that, and the direction they're really going to go.
But it would make a very good Batman vs Superman 2. Especially if they're two teams against each other. Like Civil War.
That's the thing. Are you going to result in DC's version of Civil War with that, though?
Batman vs Superman to me is an okay film. I just want to see where it goes from there. I think that covers everything.
I think so,
Okay, so thank you for watching. We have tried yet another new format for this. We're doing tabletop talk to talk, face to face. Let us know how you think this should be from now on, whether it should be this way or through Skype or through podcast style. Just comment below, and obviously if you do like this, like the video. If you love this video or any of the other videos, subscribe, that'd be handy. But thank you for watching. You've all been fantastic, great, good on you, and thanks Dan for coming.
No worries, cheers.
Okay guys, see you later, ta-ta for now.
Bye.